Hey, well, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Collision Live. Joining you, as always, your host, Daniel Blackaby. And again, joining me at the desk, you know him, you love him, the Leonardo da Vinci to my Mona Lisa, Mr. Sam David Camp.
Good to be with you, Daniel.
It's good to be.
Exciting to see what little intro I'm gonna have. So
yeah, and it's always exciting to get technology to work properly. Things are a little crazy behind the scenes, but hey, that's the movie magic.
Yeah, hopefully everything's working
So
correctly.
hopefully you guys can all see us with all the changes that's going on. But again, if you guys haven't joined us before at the Collision Live, this is our weekly show where we take 30 minutes or so and kind of break down what's going on in pop culture, any big controversies, any interesting news.
There never are, but
yeah, if we can find those, weed through those, pick one or two.
Really had to dig this week to find something to talk about.
Yes, sometimes culture just sort of delivers us topics on a silver platter, and this is one of those weeks.
Yeah.
And also we just kind of just celebrate and geek out about pop culture and cool things that we're excited about. And, we'd love to talk to you guys about things that you're excited about. So again, we're excited that you guys have joined us. If you're watching us live, go ahead, share your thoughts. There'll probably be no shortage of thoughts this week in the comments section, and let's have a conversation about that. But again, let's jump right into this. And probably the question that I know I have, and some of you guys probably have, is, have your Satan shoes arrived in the mail yet, or are they held up?
They have not. I think they got held up in customs, but could be wrong.
Yeah, well, again, they're shipping from hell, so there's a lot of red tape.
It's a long trip.
So again, if you guys have no idea what we're talking about, let's break this down. Blessed are you. Let's break it down. This is sort of one of those stories. It's actually a couple days, so we've had a bit of time to marinate on it. We do this show on Tuesdays, and it kind of happened a little after last Tuesday. But the musical artist Lil Nas X, which again I know very little about. Again, I know his popular song he had. I've seen him around, but he's not a metal band, so that kind of limits my exposure to him as far as music goes. But he's been making some headlines for releasing some new fashion items. Mm-hmm. Very I think appropriately called Satan shoes. So again, these shoes,
not hiding the ball on that one.
Yeah, there's no subtlety with the
very
marketing
nuance
with the marketing on this. So again, these shoes, they have Bible verses on them that reference Satan. Kind of the main talking point is that in the cushion area, it's red because there is human blood in that area. If you've
one drop,
if you've ever wanted to have some human blood in your shoes, this was your opportunity. Again, I think it's all red dye, but each shoe has one drop. And again, there was only 666, the number of the beast, pairs of these shoes made. Each one, if you want to get your hands on these, will cost $1,018, which is a reference to Luke 10:18, which refers to kind of the fall of Satan. And again, so these, as you would expect with the release of something called Satan shoes with human blood in it, has created a bit of a stir online. And ultimately, these shoes are kind of tied into his new music video that he just released, and we'll get into that as well.
Which also has satanic connotations.
Yeah, which is very apt marketing to do that. But so again, we can kind of get into it. People are mad about this. Again, it's shocking in a way. It's not something you expect to come across. The Satan shoes, trending on Twitter. But again, this is a story that does have some layers, and in a way where maybe we're making a bit light of. I think there are some serious stuff to get into with this story. But again, I think there's multiple ways. So why don't you, what are your initial thoughts when you see this thing kind of blow up and some of the backlash and some of that?
Yeah, well, when I first heard about it, I thought, I don't care. An artist releases shoes themed in satanically themed. Okay, artists have been doing that forever. I don't really care. But then on the other hand, I think it's a brilliant troll. So I'll give credit where credit is due in trolling sort of a certain populist mainstream segment of evangelicals, conservatives, if you want to call them that, that just, freak out about this. And and I think there's a segment of Christendom that's behaving the way that Lil Nas wanted them to behave. And so, again, with the hot takes, people just reacting to this in a very predictable way. And it's, this is not it becomes a thing because of the reaction, I think.
Yeah.
And so which is exactly the sort of marketing game that I think he was playing at. And so props to him for winning the marketing campaign.
Yeah, and we can get kind of into, we'll get into his music video, and again, I think there's some deeper conversations that can happen. But again, I think we're in agreement on this one, that this, again, if I got a PhD in aesthetics, the arts, and the idea of shock art and just doing things to stir up people and get people talking about it. That's been going on forever. Even the old school art, that we think of as sort of the pure time of Christian art, they were throwing in some kind of shocking stuff. And that's a kind of a trope of just, especially the more popular art, I think there's sort of the initial reaction is to just sort of be outraged and see this as some huge attack on Christianity, or some, this is going to really radically change things. And I think it's helpful. Again, we even saw this with, I saw on Twitter, a lot of people were freaking out against Nike and kind of saying, this is the world we live in now, that these big corporations are, now they're just promoting, this satanic stuff, and, woe is us. And again, I think, there is some of that going on in our culture, but the irony is that this is nothing, Nike is not behind this. Nike is suing the art. They've taken these Nike shoes and they've adapted and changed them and turned them into these Satan shoes. But this isn't the corporation. Nike wants nothing to do with this. They're saying, don't boycott us yet. We're not doing, we're not behind this. We're going to sue them. And so again, I think some of just the not being quick to jump and outrage, and kind of just that easy kind of undemanding reaction of just, I don't agree with this, I'm going to make a big fuss about it, and realize, at the end of the day, this is 666 articles of clothing that most people can't afford to buy. It's a PR stunt. It's going to go away. So I think that aspect of it, as Christians,
not jumping on breaking news and giving your 2 cents as it's breaking is always a good thing. Just wait, let all the facts come out before you say things. And in this sense, it's maybe not breaking news, but it's, artists release something, and, before you see everything, you're just kind of reacting, your gut reaction. And we've talked about the knee-jerk reaction on this show, on it seems like every show, but just wait, just hang on a second. And
and that's sort of what we're trying to do, why we even started this Collision Live show, is to, there's sort of that first, let's just be mad about it. And then I think sort of the more fruitful and I think valuable approach, or just sort of cultural engagements, is kind of step back a little bit and actually think through it. And, what is this, how can we actually kind of engage beyond just, obviously as a Christian, we're going to put down the devil or imagery. We're going to reject that. I think this is obviously very on the nose, satanic and unchristian. I think, most of pop culture and arts today are affirming the same ideology and worldview. They're just not throwing Satan in there.
Yeah.
But I think the song, again, this whole stunt is just used to promote his new song, and it's done its job.
Yeah.
So he just released a song, Montero, Call Me by Your Name. And again, there's the song aspect, and then most pop songs these days, the music video is just as essential as the actual music. And again, I don't, if you haven't seen the video, I don't recommend watching it. Sort of the Sparks Notes version that I can give you is that it's the little Nas X. He's in paradise. He's in Eden, kind of strumming his guitar. And again, if you're not familiar, he's a gay man, and he grew up in the church, and his father, I believe, was a minister, and just a bad experience, and he's obviously rejected sort of his upbringing, and so that's sort of the background that colors the video. But so in the video, he's in heaven or paradise, Eden, and kind of gets cast out of the garden, gets tempted by Satan, the serpent, and kind of through the course of the video, ends up being put on trial in heaven, thrown down to hell, and he's doing very sexual acts with the devil. And at the end of the video, he cracks the devil's neck, puts on his horns, and kind of assumes the persona of the devil. And again, the whole point is this is supposed to be a shocking video.
Yeah.
And again, some of the overtly sexual stuff in this video is, again, I don't think that's something that we all need to be watching. But again, we were sort of talking about this before we went on air.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's, if we get past, yes, we don't agree with the content of the video, we don't agree with the messaging of the video, but what are some sort of, beyond just that common ground, what are some of the more interesting discussions maybe about this?
Yeah, well, I think him having a religious background is quite fascinating, and it sounds like this song and just sort of this whole publicity stunt is perhaps his own commentary on his experience in the church. And I think I just think that's fascinating. I think there's probably a lot more there that you could draw out and have a little bit of self-awareness with, and maybe even some thought-provoking dialogue, thinking about, okay, so how has the church handled things like being gay and homosexuality, and so yeah, I think there's a lot. It's a lot deeper there, I think, than just sort of the shock doctrine of his video and of the shoes and all that. And so I think it's worth thinking about, like, okay, so how, if this is sort of his takeaway from being in the church, what pause and self-reflection should the church have? And not to say that, the church is the reason that, he's doing all these things necessarily, or like, if the church had just been more whatever, maybe he wouldn't have left the church. That's, I think, sort of a...
Yeah, some of that's beyond our scope. We don't...
Yeah.
We weren't there. I think there's probably aspects of that. But I think, yeah, again, I think, there's... And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that we affirm or that we take his messaging as 100% gospel truth or anything. But I think there is, and he is expressing something that does touch very close to a Christian issue of importance. And I think there is value in recognizing that. And again, some of the, I think we have a quote. I was on the website of Satan's Shoes, and kind of at the bottom of his website, it says, better to reign in hell than serve in heaven, which is a famous classic line from Milton's Paradise Lost, kind of talking about Satan rebelling and stuff. And, the irony is, although we reject a lot of what this video is about, like, and again, even wider than just sort of the homosexuality or some of those LGBTQ issues, is just, what he's presenting is kind of rejecting the things of God and Christianity to embrace sort of more humanistic, like sexual pleasures and carnals and kind of, all that's offered and kind of in the pleasures of hell. And again, there's...
So you would say his video is theologically sound?
Yeah, I think so. Again, at least me coming at this, I think the fact that he released these shoes is going to blow over. It really makes no impact on anything. But I think the video itself is just it's very on the nose of what happens all the time. But it's kind of a metaphor, like an encapsulation of that is the world. That's what sort of this worldview. And I think, again, as Christian, not necessarily mean you got to be rocking this song on your running playlist every week, but I think we can at least recognize that this is a perspective on kind of Christianity and God and pleasure and all that that we as Christians should be aware of, and that's sort of what we're combating or sharing with. So again, I think and we can move on from there. But again, I think there's a lot more interesting and important discussions for Christians than just the low-hanging fruit of hey, Satan's shoes with human blood in it. Probably not a thing that we should be buying.
And I think it's just people get so caught up in sort of the shock value aspect of it and like just discount the rest of it. And so it's like you're just reacting to, you know, the thing that the artist wants you to react to, and like that's the end of the conversation.
Yeah,
And so
it's an end rather than like, hey, what's, you know, why are you doing this, and how can we kind of jump in there?
again, just the colossal lack of introspection on either side of political and social issues today is just dumbfounding.
Yeah, let's go deeper with it. Another story that's not quite as controversial as Satan's shoes, but hey, we thought we'd balance things out a bit.
Yeah.
The Obi-Wan Kenobi show, again, you know, Star Wars is still one of the big brands out there. They got The Mandalorian on TV, popular show, great show that was released, and you know, I think they have like 10 things in the 10 new shows coming out. I guess.
Yeah,
it's
insane.
Yeah, Disney
Star
Plus
Wars.
is they don't do
Cashing
anything
that
in small scopes. But yes, the Star Wars and the Disney Plus like Twitter accounts and social media just released sort of the official cast of the Kenobi show. Again, nothing necessarily groundbreaking, but I think there is some interesting stuff. And I think, you know, I'm a big Star Wars guy. I got my Stormtrooper shirt on.
I've left mine at the house.
So what are your and again, if you guys are watching us live, if you guys are interested in the show or not interested, I know people are kind of on the fence of whether we need this show. But what are your thoughts? Like, do you?
Well, it's Star Wars, and so, you know, my gut reaction is that I'm interested. And so I'm always interested in anything that comes out with Star Wars. And I think there's just been a lot of sort of anticipation around this. And I think it could do a lot of interesting things. It's, again, I think it sort of is bridging that gap between Revenge of the Sith and
the
A New
prequels
Hope.
and like the original.
Yeah, so it's that sort of period of like, so, you know, what did Obi-Wan do to get so old, and, you know, a hermit, and so there's all these bits and pieces between those two that I think could be really interesting to explore. I have no idea what they're gonna do with the show, but I think there's a lot of, you know, we know, you know, the end point and the new starting point between the two, and so I think it's exciting to think about, so what might take place, you know, and then obviously like Vader's rise to power, like there's all these things that sort of,
like it's definitely, again, coming in, you know, like 5 years ago or whatever, when these started to be rumored. I was like, we don't need it. Let's do something new. But now that we're getting it, and you start kind of getting some of the news, like I can't help start getting a little excited about like the possibilities. And again, Star Wars. I know if you guys check out our website collision.org, we've got into some of the, like, you know, it's magic and the Force and some of that. Is that okay for Christians to? So we won't get into it here. Maybe I'll drop the link if you know, if that's sort of a holdup. But I think the Star Wars as like a story has always been good about, you know, it's such like a fertile soil to deal with, like, morality and good versus evil and spirituality. And again, doesn't necessarily mean that all that lines up with the Bible, but it offers so much. And I feel like this, you know, like getting into like back into some of the Force and some of that, I think there's possibility. Again, if you guys look at like the casting, the faces, like the two of the actor and actress are the ones that played Luke's uncle and aunt, you know, that ultimately get fried by the stormtroopers in the original, kind of that raise him, which, you know, to me means young Luke Skywalker. You're gonna get, you know, like I you know, I envision Obi-Wan standing off in the side as the sun's setting, and you have like a little kid Luke running around, and he's sort of this guardian figure that has to guard him and you know, protect people from discovering him. And I don't know. I think there's
so much there, and I think that's what I think so many Star Wars fans are excited about. It's just there is so much fertile ground there, and like obviously like Uncle I was gonna say Uncle Ben, but no, that's Obi-Wan. So like Owen is, you know, in A New Hope is very antagonistic towards Obi-Wan. So
kind of crazy old hermit.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. There's a lot there that you could tease out, and I think it could be super exciting. Kumail Nanjiani was a surprising cast. He's more of a comedian guy, and he's a great actor. And so I don't know. It's a pretty exciting lineup of people, I think. Moses Ingram was in Queen's Gambit, and she did a phenomenal job in that show.
And I think
But
even
I don't know. I think it's going to be
yeah, and I
super
think kind of
fun.
like Queen's Gambit. One of the things that excites me about this show too is that I don't know like how many episodes the final one, but it's a limited series. It's not,
Yeah.
we're not going to have season 6 of Obi-Wan, and where he's
Right.
what can you deal with
Well,
now?
because but I think that's the thing, because sort of the end point, like it kind of helps rein in what it's going to be, and I think that's good. I think there's too many shows that just are kind of blue sky. It could never end unless we want it to end, type of thing, and I think that can be really harmful, I think, to creativity.
Yeah, and again, like I had issues with the Snyder cut for just so long, and there's value in just give me an hour and 45 minute.
Yeah.
Don't stretch this out. But I think one of the advantages now with these like limited series and these streaming shows is because it's drawn out enough, like week to week, that there's less pressure that like there just has to be so much spectacle and action that
Right.
I think you're starting to see more like actual dealing with themes and
More
human
character
issues.
development, I think, is a big part of that as well.
And again, I think coming at these shows and stuff as a Christian, I think it becomes more interesting. It's not just hey, it's a popcorn flick. It's hey, there's actually some interesting stuff that we can kind of affirm or reject and all that. So again, let us know if you're excited for this. I don't know, the announcement was saying hey, we're going to start filming it. So again, they probably won't see the show for a year, sometime next year, but. Well, let us know if you guys are excited as we are, or if you're just wanting to quit dipping back into the nostalgia pool and start doing something new. So this week at the Collision, we got a couple things going on. I encourage you guys, if you guys are just joining us on video, to check out our website, thecollision.org. Kind of our more written media side of what we do at the Collision, articles, movie reviews, and all that. So check that out. We got a couple movie reviews and things coming up. And again, we'll be doing a review for King Godzilla vs. Kong. Because why not?
Why not? And I think did you finish WandaVision?
I didn't. I'm still stalled out at 4 episodes. Again, I liked the 4 episodes, and then just life's been crazy. So we probably will finish that. I know my wife's been watching the Winter Falcon, whatever that show is called, the Captain America Winter Falcon.
Oh, is that out now?
Yeah, I think the first 2 episodes are out, and she's on board.
Shows you how much I keep up with.
Yeah, there's only so much superhero stuff you can keep up with. But
exactly.
So again, last thing we do on the show is cultural observations. This is sort of our chance to say, hey, a few things that we don't need to go into depth with, but just anything interesting you see happening in the culture.
Speaking of nostalgia trains, I grew up on Mighty Ducks. I was a huge fan.
Quack, quack,
yeah.
quack.
The
quack.
Flying V, the Bash Brothers, I was here for all of it. And so seeing that coming back, not coming back, but
continued.
Again, I have mixed feelings about a lot of the nostalgia stuff. Because I feel like it's just sort of this easy sort of, I can't think of anything new, so let's just reboot, Gilmore Girls or whatever. And so I kind of go into it with fear and trepidation, but I don't know. I think it's interesting that that's coming back. I think the first episode or so is now on Disney Plus. Again, Disney with the cashing of the checks, man. Like they are just going hard on a lot of this nostalgia stuff, but. It was kind of neat to see that back, and speaking of Gilmore Girls, it's got I'm gonna blank on her name now, but
is this Lauren Graham?
Lauren Graham. Yeah, I'm getting the thumbs up from.
The Gilmore mother from the show.
Yeah, so which I think she's she was great in Gilmore Girls, but who knows? I think it could be really interesting, and the trailer that I saw for it looked pretty interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but I don't know. There's hope.
Yeah, and again, I saw, speaking of Disney Plus cashing checks, they just greenlit their National Treasure show.
I did see that, too.
Again, those movies are underrated. Those are fun movies, adventure movies with some maybe questionable historical facts and stuff. But but again, those are like the Da Vinci Code, but without the controversial Christianity stuff thrown in. So those are fun. Like a couple things that I've noticed. Again, I'm rocking my Vincent Van Gogh inspired shirt because today is his 168th birthday.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, he's not around to celebrate that.
Do you have any fun Vincent Van Gogh facts for us?
I do. Thanks for
since you had a
that one up.
PhD in art.
Yeah, I tweeted out earlier again. He didn't start painting until he was 27 years old.
Wow.
He did drawing and did some other career paths and weren't really working out. Decided to pick it up.
His dad was like a doctor or a lawyer or something.
Yeah, and he tried that. He tried to make an art dealer and didn't work out. Decided to try painting. See if this will work for him. He died 10 years later, and in that time he painted like over 900 paintings.
Just a maniac.
But again, if you're still searching for your passion, your thing, it's never too late to find.
Unless you're over 27, in which case, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that is unfortunately the cutoff. So we're sorry for 28. But another thing that again we maybe could have talked about in the main thing, but Easter's coming up.
Yeah.
Which again, the Passion of the Christ movie is still one of the most influential kind of, you could call it, Christian movies ever. It's a top money making R-rated movie. And again, I know a lot of people watch that every year. Like on Good Friday or on Easter. And again, we've sort of talked about this before. Like, I'm not a big fan of the movie. I think it sort of kind of leans into this tendency to like just really emphasize the like physical pain. Like I know one of my pet peeves is you always gonna hear preachers and stuff and like, no one ever suffered a more painful and agonizing death than Jesus did. And like, if you take it just the physical side, I don't think that's true. Like I think, like being skinned alive, like he was
some pretty painful.
Yeah, there's some pretty pain. People, one of his disciples, according to the legend, was crucified upside down. That's probably more even painful. Like the importance, like the beauty, is not just that he suffered so much physical pain. It's that he took on sin. Like he humbled himself. Like the spiritual side. Again, like I would like to think that like I would suffer any amount of physical pain for my kids, but I don't think I could take on the sins of the world. I'm not a perfect So again, I think some of the passion, I think it tries to kind of like almost shock you just by the physical. Like he suffered so much physical pain.
Right.
Again, he did. It's not fun to be crucified. But I think when you miss the like spiritual battle, then you're sort of missing the importance of the crucifixion and like the resurrection. And I feel like the Gibson movie just sort of misses that. So I think, it doesn't mean you guys can't watch it and not be meaningful.
Yeah.
But just remember that it's more than just physical pain. And that movie kind of emphasizes that aspect, but just remember that the Bible also emphasizes the more important aspect of it.
Yeah.
Any kind of final thing for us that we...
I think that's it.
Yeah, well, again, guys, thanks for joining us. Again, it's always fun to talk about whatever seems to happen. Hope you guys will join us next Tuesday. Don't know if we'll have something as easy fodder as Satan's shoes, but again, there's always
we can
stuff.
only hope.
Yeah, there's always stuff to talk about. So again, if you guys are watching this late, share your thoughts in the comment section. But guys, thanks for joining us. Stay safe out there and continue to collide with your world for Christ.